I had back in the day still a job. I was in my mid-20s. I had a job at Audi Volkswagen, the car brand. Everybody knows Audi and Volkswagen.
Yeah,
It's a
course.
German car brand. I had a job there in Dubai and just a normal, basically 9-to-5 job. But I got really tired of that 9-to-5 grind. Actually, it was more than, I always say it was not, we call it 9-to-5, but it was more like 9-to-9.
Stressful.
But yeah, it was very stressful. And, I also always say, I don't want to demonize the corporate world because for some people it's kind of a safety net.
Yeah.
They like it and it's absolutely fine. But for me, it was never the thing that I, wanted to pursue for the rest of my life.
He doesn't follow the market, he masters it. Bernd Skorupinski, the trader who broke FTMO records and became a legend in prop trading, over a decade of experience, thousands of trades, and one single mission: to teach traders how to think like professionals. From the online trading campus, he transforms the way the world understands the markets. Precision, discipline, real results. This is Bernd Skorupinski.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of podcast in my YouTube channel of DB Trade Effects. It's been a long time since I actually posted a podcast in our channel, but I think we found the best opportunity to do it here in Medellín, Colombia. We're just a day away from one of the events that we're organizing, and I have a very special guest. You guys have seen him in my channel. Last year, it was a virtual podcast that we did, and now I have the opportunity to have him in person, the one and only, the legend, Bernd Skorupinski. How are you, man?
Not too bad, man. Thank you, first of all, for the introduction. And who would have thought that I ever come to Colombia, Medellín, and having that sit down with you and that podcast, right? It just arrived yesterday. Took me 3 planes, 24 hours in the air, basically. But it's what an experience to travel around and spread my word, right?
Yeah, I'm actually very thankful for you coming, taking the time. Long flight. When I actually asked you if you were, if you could come, we were kind of negotiating if you were coming, and when you said yes, that was amazing. So me and my team, and I think the whole Latin community, are really grateful to have a person like you in our country.
No, thank you. I mean, it was not necessarily, I would not call it negotiating. It was more like the trip is long, right? And like these days we are really busy. So, but yeah, we made it happen, and I'm super happy to be here, and also like being part of the event tomorrow. It's going to be a blast, engaging with the community for real and not only like online. I think this is also really important for me, and I have fun doing that.
Totally. And you guys, if you're just probably getting to know who Bernd is, because mainly our community is in Spanish, well, you will be listening to this podcast in English and Spanish. And I would like people to, get to know you a little more. Let's start with, who is Bernd Skorupinski? Where are you from? And, these things that people want to know about the person behind the trader.
Yeah, well, I try to keep myself short. So originally, you might hear that from my accent. I'm from Germany, but I live in Dubai since 2009. So more than now 15, 16 years. I'm a full-time trader now since almost now 12 years. Full-time trader, providing basically really for my family. I'm turning 42 in October, so in 3 weeks from now. And I'm also... Actually, I started prop trading, and this is where I gained a little bit of popularity, I would say.
Yeah, you did.
I started prop trading back in 2022, my first prop firm challenge I did with FTMO. And in less than 1.5 years, I was awarded, this was in early 2024, as the all-time record holder on the biggest prop firm in the world, which is FTMO, with more than 120 leaderboard appearances made to date. I mean, to date is we can get to that point later, but eventually I got banned from FTMO. I can say that already. Who teasing? I got banned from FTMO, but I made until beginning of 2025 $275,000 with them, and so overall last year, like, it's all verified profits. I made roughly $1 million with prop firms. And so, yeah, this is where I gained popularity. We have online trading campus. We have our own like online school. We have now also our own prop firm campus fund. So basically, we provide a full ecosystem for aspiring traders, not only education, but also daily live trading with the prop firm. But also we have a floor in Dubai, a physical trading floor, where we kind of, for traders offer this kind of trading career in a way, this path from being completely new to trading to now becoming an aspiring trader, consistently profitable trader, managing funds, and then getting a seat on our physical trading floor in Dubai. And also eventually, like you, teaching students, campus students, right, becoming a mentor. So yeah, that's why I say we have this unique kind of ecosystem for all aspiring traders.
And actually, we'll get into OTC as well, because I always say proudly, I'm part of that family, and we met last year through that podcast. Ever since then, I got really intrigued about the fundamental and technical approach you had, and I decided to, get knowledge from one of the best. And ever since there, I've seen, how OTC itself has, grown in many ways. And now with the new ecosystem and everything we have is just amazing, especially the opportunity to more people to join. Back then it was just specific, for whatever the reason, certain people, but now everyone that has the possibility could join.
Exactly, yeah. And we opened the doors for literally everyone.
And that's something that everybody was asking. So
exactly, right. Everybody was asking, right? So we really wanted to also change the industry and open the doors for literally everyone who wants to learn trading and wants to have a career in trading.
Yes. Right? So bring us back a little at your beginnings. I know we talked about this, behind cameras and stuff.
Yeah, yes.
For the people that don't know, you didn't necessarily, started trading the same as many people. I mean, in a way, like, for example, in Latin America, most people start with, online courses and all that. But you were coming from the mobile industry, I believe.
Automotive industry.
And then from there, you kind of got tired of that life. And
yes. So people have to imagine when I started off trading. So I'm a full-time trader now, close to 12 years. So I started off trading 14 years ago. So the entire trading environment was completely different. There was no YouTube, there was no online courses, there was no like trading hype. This was still like done behind closed doors in a way, and this was still the time where you had floor traders, you had a few floor traders on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and Wall Street, and obviously this is a dying species because everything becomes now more electronically driven. But back in the days, it was mainly, still real floor traders. So it was quite difficult to start that endeavor, becoming a trader. And I had, back in the days, still a job. I was in my mid-20s. I had a job at Audi Volkswagen, the car brand. Everybody knows Audi and Volkswagen. It's a German car brand. So I had a job there in Dubai. And just a normal, basically 9-to-5 job, but I got really tired of that 9-to-5 grind. Actually, it was more than, I always say it was not, we call it 9-to-5, but it was more like 9-to-9.
Stressful.
But, yeah, it was very stressful. And, I also always say, I don't want to demonize the corporate world because for some people it's kind of a safety net.
Yeah.
And they like it and it's absolutely fine. But for me, it was never the thing that I, wanted to pursue for the rest of my life. And for me, it was also like when I, wake up in the mornings and I thought, can I do this for the rest of my life? I was like, no, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be my own boss. I want to be like, work for my own money, in a way. So I want to be independent. I want to have my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur in a way. And then I came across trading. And to cut a long story short, I found some, former floor traders from Chicago, from New York. I learned from them, a little bit online, but mostly also in a one-on-one environment. And I was able to kind of quit my job after 1 year of learning how to trade. Obviously, I was not as good as I am now. It's all like you evolve as a trader as well, like you're building skill. And the rest is history, basically. But yeah, I come from a corporate background. I was studying business, had a corporate job, and then I quit my job after I was kind of seeing results, seeing consistency in my trading, quit my job, and ever since I'm a full-time trader. So that's me behind the scenes, basically, in a nutshell.
I'm intrigued about the family perception about trading in your case, because it happens a lot here in Latin America that when we talk about trading itself, most people associate it with scam, or it's something that it's not real. It cannot happen unless you bring people over.
Because it's not tangible.
Exactly.
It's all virtual, right?
Yeah.
It's not tangible. It's not like a normal job, which is tangible.
Exactly. So like family is really important there, because I've seen a lot of people that succeed because they have that support from their family. Some people don't have that, and they kind of have to back up a little just because it's really difficult to move on. But how is your case? Like, how is your family in reference to this path of trading? How did they see it or approach it?
That's an interesting topic. I mean, we also a little bit elaborated on that, you know, behind the camera, and it's kind of that secret thing that nobody wants to talk about it, and hardly anybody sees the importance of it.
Yeah.
But having support just in general, I would say, just we don't even have to talk about trading.
Yeah.
Right. We have just in general, if you start your own business, and trading is a business, right? You're an entrepreneur here. You're an online entrepreneur.
Yes.
Being backed up, having all the support you can get, especially from like your close circle, in this case, family, it's important. It's needed. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. And this is like a topic that people hardly talk about.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe if people don't have the support, and if your close circle doesn't believe in you and making fun of what you are kind of trying to achieve, it's a recipe for, failure, right? Because this will kind of, how to say it? I mean, if your family doesn't believe in you, how can you kind of believe in yourself? It's hard, right? Because if you only get negativity and people telling you you're not going to make it, like, how can you kind of believe in yourself? It's a hard switch. So that's why I believe, like, you need that support. You need that support net. Yeah.
Totally. I completely agree. And I have a lot of situations with people that follow us that they tell me, hey, I really like trading. I've just been losing too much, and then my wife doesn't believe in this, and I'm just losing. And I could understand the wife's point, the person just losing money, but it's something that with support and with proper discipline, I think someone could reach it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on a very interesting point. You don't have to lose your own money.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, we talk not back in the days when I started off, because there was no such thing as a prop firm. Now, the environment now is completely different.
It is.
But now people don't have to lose money when they get started. They can, I mean, back in the days, there was also like demo accounts and stuff like that. But now you can buy, like, let's talk challenge prop firms, for instance, right? You can buy the cheapest challenge prop firm for, like, I don't know,
$25 perhaps.
Even
they're even less sometimes, like $5, $10.
With discount, with 20% discount, you get it like below $20. And you can practice on these small accounts. So there's no need to lose your own hard-earned money. I actually would say, if you lose your own hard-earned money, you're doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
You're having the wrong approach. So there's no need for losing anymore before you get really skilled.
What do you think of those people that nowadays that we have, the ability to not lose our own money, but there's people that in their eager to really make good money, they start off with bigger sizes accounts perhaps. And
you mean like own or like prop?
No, like prop trading. Let's say they go for 100K, but they're coming from doing a 5K account and they're doing pretty good on that. As soon as they, jump into a higher balanced capital, they just go nuts, or they just like
that also doesn't work. Obviously, you have to get, like in any, again, we don't have to particularly talk about trading. It applies to all businesses. You have to get used to higher numbers, because you have to kind of digest these higher numbers. You cannot go from 5K to 100K. It doesn't work that way. Yes, you might be skilled with 5K, but you might have not yet seen these bigger numbers, and you will do, like, money is making something with you.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's only subconsciously, money is doing something with you.
Yes.
And that's why trading is a lifetime journey, in a way that you always want to scale, and it always is challenging because once you scale, you always slowly getting used to new and higher numbers and bigger numbers, and it will always do something with you internally.
Yeah.
Whether it's like the greed factor, the fear of losing factor. So, and that's why I'm saying you have to have like what we call internally milestone plan, where you slowly get used to bigger numbers and increase the milestone and jumping from maybe, let's say, a 50K prop firm account, and then you don't move immediately to a 200K account. Maybe you just have in between a 100K account, and then you do a 200K account. And once you really are capable to manage a 200K account comfortably, hard to pronounce right now, and confidently, then you can move to a 400K account and so on and so forth. And this is how you scale. You cannot scale from 200K to a million, and then it doesn't work that way.
It's kind of like that risk tolerance, right? Like people don't see much the percentage; they see the P&L and just the number there. That if you're coming from a 5K, you're losing $10, $20 doesn't really bother. But when it's 100K, you're maybe losing 1,000, and that kind of kicks you in. In a way, I agree with you. The fact that nowadays is a lot easier to not risk your own money. Really, it's just a small investment to get a good leverage in capital, prop firm, or whatever, to just make more money. But I agree with that. You have to scale up slowly, otherwise.
But that's the and it's so that makes trading also so interesting. And what people don't know or not understand, especially beginner traders, that's why trading is, I would consider trading the best side hustle in the entire world, because trading is the only business in the world, and this is something that people really don't understand. Trading is the only business in the world that if you want to make more money, you don't require more time. You just scale your capital. Scaling is the only variable in that entire equation to make more money. It doesn't require more of your time. Any physical business, any other business in the world, it always, whether you open a shop, a coffee shop, whether you run an real estate, right? It requires more units, it requires more people, it requires more of your own time. But trading doesn't require, once you have that strategy set, it just requires scaling. That's the only variable in the entire game to make more money. But the time factor is always constant. So that's why trading is so nice, because the time factor is not important. And we all want to have more time in our life. We want to make money, as well, but we also want to have more time.
True.
Right. So that's why trading, guys, best side hustle in the world.
So as you were beginning to trade, I know we all know you because of what you've been so successful in the past years. But let's talk a little about that process at the beginning, your struggles. What do you think you struggled most at the beginning? Do you feel probably your emotions, or because a lot of people might find it familiar? In my personal case, I struggled a lot with the fear of losing. I was not comfortable at all with losing. And you come into a business in which you need to learn that losing is part of it. But in your particular case, what was your main struggle at the beginning?
That's an interesting question. And it's been so long.
Yeah.
It's been more than a decade. And I really can't remember. I don't want to say I didn't have any struggles. For sure I had struggles, but I would point them out if there was like one particular struggle that I had. But it's really, I had this great ecosystem, I felt, where I had great trading mentors. I had a family that supports me through and through, even especially when I quit my job. I never had this fear of losing or failing. I'm just not mentally wired that way, that I'm like, when I do something, that I do it I'm either doing it like 100%, 110%, or I'm not doing something. So I'm like either or. Like I'm fully committed to something, or I'm not even starting it, right? I'm these two extremes. So I think maybe the only struggle was that it's not, I don't want to call it struggle, but maybe it's the only small struggle that I had was like, it could go everything a little bit quicker.
Oh, so you wanted like everything
faster,
fast. Yeah.
faster. I'm like patience.
Okay.
Patience in general. I was always struggling a little bit, but then on the other hand, you have to imagine you're starting your own business, and to make a business successful from the scratch, literally from like not knowing how to open a coffee shop, and you're like standing in front of a just land, and to make this like successful and profitable takes years, like any other business. But when it comes to trading, we are kind of wired in a way that we need to see profitability within the first year, otherwise we are failure in a way, right?
Yes.
So I think patience was something that I was a little bit struggling, but then always like reminding myself, hey, this is like a real business what you're doing here. Like you're a proper entrepreneur now. You're like self-employed. You're at this time you're your only employee basically.
Yes.
So so then just reminding myself that this is like a freaking business, and it will take some time, and there will be like it will be like a roller coaster. It will not go straight up to the moon like any other business. It's life, right? It just goes up and down, and you just have to juggle it.
Yes.
So but other than that, I kind of grew up in a very controlled environment, and that's what we're trying to, and that's why me growing up trading wise, obviously in a controlled environment, that's what we are trying to preach and what we are implementing internally as well, that people can grow up in like a controlled environment with everything that we have in Campus and Campus Fund, that people don't have like these struggles from the begin with.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem now.
I think you had that privilege to have like in-person mentors. You did mention to me about one,
and I think also.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I want to stress it because it just came to me, and I now forgot it again. No, I forgot it. I just it was really important, but I forgot it anyway. Just maybe
you remember it.
You may remember it. Yeah.
But we had dinner the other day, and you were talking about one of your mentors specifically, that he truly lived trading. Like he was so passionate about it, and I think you had the privilege to have persons like him to be an influence on you. Can you tell us a little bit about him? How was he in?
Yeah, just he was like a former floor trader.
Okay.
From Chicago Mercantile Exchange, if I'm not mistaken. He was like managing at some point he was managing the Swiss franc floor. Yes. And unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago. He was not that old, mid-60s, but he lived and was breathing trading, and that was always something that it was very inspiring as well for me, just not only in a technical sense, like what I could learn, but also how he's living and breathing, like the way how you can summarize it, the way how he was passionate about his job, which is trading, is something that I always wanted to achieve for myself as well. I mean, I achieved it now. I'm so passionate about trading, and we could do like a 24-hour podcast, and I could still go on, because when it comes to trading, I could just not stop. And that's what people say, get to the point. It's hard for me to get to the point like now. But to cut a long story short, that passion, the fire in this person that I had, that he had, like this fire he had in him about trading, about what he's doing every single day, is something that I think it's the end game, right? If you are passionate about your job that way, that you can't wait to get up the next morning, or you kind of quote unquote hate weekends because the markets are closed, then you made it, regardless of money. Totally. Because people are lacking passion in their life. Because that's what people are lacking passion. Because that's why so many these days people are desperate, and people are demotivated, and they hate their lives, and they're getting depressed. Why? Because they don't have any passion to get up the next morning. They don't have any real passion in their life. And if you get this passion, that fire in you, that's the end game. Because then you are kind of achieve happiness in a way. Yes, happiness is a feeling, but you achieve peace, right? You're in peace with yourself. And then it's regardless of money. Then you are like, you made it. Then I would say you are successful regardless of money, because the definition of successful is, what does it mean? It's very subjective. There's no objective definition of success.
True.
For everybody, it means something else. But I would say a common definition of success is when you are in peace with yourself, when you achieve that when you have that passion. And that was always my goal. And I saw it with one of my mentors that I had, and as I said, unfortunately died, and doing what he loves.
That's amazing.
So I can just encourage everyone to find this fire, that passion, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be trading, but since we're in a trading podcast and trading is our passion, so it might be also trading for you.
Maybe I think being grateful, like understanding to kind of live the present and be grateful for that process. Sometimes we're not, because we want the result now.
But that's also hard for me.
Yeah.
That's also hard for me. Sometimes people ask, are you proud on yourself, what you have achieved? I don't know this feeling of I don't really know how this feels, being proud.
Okay.
I'm like kind of happy, or like I'm kind of also satisfaction, maybe satisfied, but you don't have that like nonstop in you that you're like satisfied. I mean, it's again like running a business has its ups and downs. Even now, obviously, especially when you grow very fast, it has its ups and downs. It has its challenges. It comes with challenges. It comes with bad days. It comes with good days. But it's just life. You cannot just have good days, because otherwise they would not be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always yin and yang. To like an upside, there's always a downside. Always.
Always. How long did it take for you to say, I think now I've, learned enough, I'm executing, and I think now I could quit my job? How long did it pass since you started until the time you said, I'm going to quit?
Yeah, 1 year roughly.
1 year. Oh, okay.
Again, I don't want to, and I don't like to talk about that too much. I tell you why, because otherwise people take this as a benchmark.
Yes.
And they always like try to copy you, emulate you, and like, hey, this guy made it in 1 year, this guy made it in 6 months, this guy made it in X amount of time. Why I can't? It's make it in this time. I may be failing, but that's not true, because every journey is very individual. And you cannot compare my journey to your journey, to his journey, to their journeys, to, it's just every journey is so individual. So, and whether it's just something, again, a job that you want to do for the rest of your life, correct? Like trading, you want to do for the rest of your life. You can do for the rest of your life.
Of course.
Yeah.
You don't think about, when I'm 60, I'm going to...
And then again, like people sometimes, when we talk about doing this for the rest of our lives, there's people like, is there a place, like a time when you want to retire? No, because I mean, what does it even mean, retiring, right? Does retiring meaning you're just dropping everything, like laying down and like not moving at all? Like I would get desperate, right? That's why I would get really desperate, to be honest. But it doesn't exist in my mind, like retirement. I want to trade for the rest of my life, right? I kind of, it sounds stupid and cliche, but I retired when I quit my job, right? Because I can do what I'm passionate about.
Totally.
I don't know how we got there, but yeah, that's
no, but it's a great point, because I like what you mentioned, passion, and that's something that a lot of people lack from, and it's true, because they just see the present, they're not getting the result, and it's just like they need it. But passion is important.
Yeah, but that's why I say every journey is so individual.
Yes.
And for me, the money aspect was never that important, because I had kind of money. For me, the important was more self-fulfillment and achieving something for myself, being my own boss, and having that something that I'm passionate about, because I was lagging that passion. So like I felt numb and even hating what I'm doing, like literally from hate to getting, for me it was like, oh, I wish I would do something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So for me it was more like seeking for that kind of thing rather than money.
Yes.
But I fully understand that now we are, for instance, in Colombia.
Yes.
And there the environment is completely different.
Totally.
They are not, and they might they might not be able to relate to what I'm saying. It's like they might think, what is he talking about? I have to make sure that I have to feed my family. I have to look from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. I get it. I mean, I cannot relate to it because I've never had this kind of, thankfully, never had this kind of scenario in my own life. But I kind of get it in a way that obviously my journey is not applicable to other people, and they have to find another route.
Yes.
And they not necessarily have to look for that passion, but they have to look for getting that paycheck every single month.
Yes.
And that's why I just also said trading a couple of minutes ago is the best side hustle in the world, because I don't want people to think about quitting their job too early.
That's important.
It's super important because this adds additional pressure to them. And I want people to understand that as you should have as multiple income streams, as many as possible, whether it's your wife working, you working, and you just do trading on the side and you have 2-3 income streams. And then you can live really, you can trade without that pressure that you have to provide that kind of paycheck the next month to basically, if I don't get that payout on that prop firm, I cannot feed my family. That's also like a recipe for disaster, because it adds way too much pressure into your trading, and then you're money driven and not process driven, and then it's like, again, a recipe for failure.
And I think when you have that backup, like multiple incomes, it's just easier to go with your process.
100%.
We were talking about one of OTC students that's almost getting there in the overall payouts that you had with FTMO, that he just recently cut his
$33, right?
$33,000, and you showed me there's a certificate. Might even show it here in the edit so that people could, see.
I've not even showed it on my own channel yet, so we keep it for there.
So it's gonna be completely until he launches it. But the thing is that you told me he was working in a corporate job.
Yes, a banker, right?
Yeah, a banker, and he just recently quit it, I believe.
Exactly, after the highest payout.
I think he wouldn't have made it probably the way he did it if he would have just be depending on need to make money at a trade right now.
We don't know, obviously. It's very hypothetical discussion, but I would also think that you would have most probably pulled the trigger way earlier to secure that monthly paycheck if this is your sole income stream. Most probably you would have pulled the trigger. You would have not let the profits run so much, I assume.
Totally. I asked a few people in my community, what questions would you like Bernd to be asked? And one thing that came up was, how did he come across to the fundamental approach that he has? Because it's different. When we talk about fundamentals, the majority of people think is NFP 5 minutes before it comes out, or let's trade a news event. How did you come across with COT, seasonality, and valuation?
Yeah, also through different mentors I had that they used that. I'm also a fan, and this is how I learned. I had like 2-3 mentors in my life.
Okay.
And I picked the best of kind of their approach, or not the best necessarily, but the approach that kind of fit to me, to my strategy, and I created because nobody of us is capable to reinvent the wheel.
No.
Right? The market is the market.
Yes.
Nobody can say, I came up by myself with this brand new strategy and I can beat the market. Everything doesn't exist, right? The market exists since forever, basically. And it's just like, there are some rules that their strategies exist. And so I was just combining multiple puzzle pieces and making it work for me. Right, fail and error. It's a failure, and then you trial, error, and failure, and then you try it again, and then you collect sample size at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
By having trade execution, logging your trades, and then some stuff sticks to the strategy, and some stuff you let loose and say, okay, that I added this doesn't make any sense, and then you just continue refining. Like any business as well, you refine the business, you refine the system, and that's what I did throughout the years, refining my system, getting different puzzle pieces from different people, and making my own strategy. But it's not like me coming up with that out of the blue, right?
I really like that of you, because you're really like the COT report.
Yeah.
You can't say I make the COT report. It's something you find it on the CFTC.gov website.
Exactly. It's
public.
It's public information. But the question is, how do you interpret this public
Yes.
information, and how you can use this public information, which is raw in a way. Like if you go to these websites, it's raw data. It's basically the raw data itself is pretty much useless if you don't know how to interpret it and how you can make it objective in a way.
And that's a very important word, objective, because that's when I came across you last year. I had no clue about fundamentals, and then I was like, okay, COT, it's public data, it's out there. There's something that has to be beneficial for me as a trader to at least understand what's going to come up, right?
Exactly.
And I really like that approach that you give because it's logical, and then you combine it with valuation and then seasonality, which, by the way, seasonality, you do yearly roadmaps on indices. This year has been a great year because of that, and just combining that is just took you quite some time, I bet, right?
Yes, I'm doing that stuff since now close to 12. I mean, full time 12 years, but like since, let's say, 14 years plus minus a year. But yes, so of course it takes time, right?
It does.
Developing something solid, like rock solid, that works consistently over time takes time.
Yeah.
Right.
And how do you define like the strategy towards like the fundamentals, being like, what's more important in this case? Maybe that's the question. Like for you, you got three aspects: COT, valuation, and seasonality. Obviously, for the people that already belong to OTC, we understand it now.
And people who are watching my content.
People that follow you a lot.
Yeah.
But let's say people in Latin America that are just, getting to know your approach, which I really want them to know.
Yes.
Why is it so important, like the COT? Why is the valuation so important? And seasonality, what's more important?
Again, we could fill a whole podcast about that, but I'm just trying to keep, because we have that content on our channels.
Yeah.
I mean, I have it on my channel. You can now, recently YouTube made this new change where it's now also dubbed my content. Like the past few videos you can watch in Spanish. You do some videos as well that to use, like, I think you've done videos on
I've done a few about
done a
COT
few
mainly.
COT and stuff. So people have, if people want to, and I can only encourage them to deep dive into that topic, watch our content.
Yes.
Right? But in a nutshell, why it's so important is fundamentals drive price.
Yes.
Because technicals are derived from price. Price cannot drive price. That's a misconception.
Yes.
Fundamentals drive price. So that's why, since they drive price, but it can take a while for them to play out, they are very bad in using them for market timing, meaning placing your set, your entry, stop loss, and target. So that's why since fundamentals drive price, but they're bad for market timing, you use them to get a bias, whether you're biased bullish or whether you're biased bearish, or whether you say, I'm actually, because the fundamentals are inconsistent and giving you a contradictive outlook. So they're kind of neutral, so you stay away from that market, right? So you have kind of three biases in a way. And once you're biased, whether you can say, okay, that fundamentals telling you that price most likely on market X, let's say now, because I'm personally now, based on the fundamentals, biased bearish on the euro dollar and bullishly biased on the dollar index. So I would say, so once you're biased bearish on a market like the euro dollar, well, then you can go into step 2, which is then market timing, and then you use technicals.
Yes.
We use supply and demand, and and you find like a whole supply on my YouTube channel. You know that, right?
Yeah,
I do like the whole like supply and demand, like, I hate the word course, but it's a course at the end of the day, the program. The whole, like, you have the whole supply and demand course on my YouTube channel, for instance, right?
Yeah.
You can knock yourself out with like hours of content.
Tons of info.
Right? Tons of knowledge and skill building lessons. But my point is, eventually, I'm a big proponent. I like supply and demand because it works very well, very consistent if you know how to use it properly, obviously. There are a lot of, what I only also realized, by the way, once I got into the social media game, which was only like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that there's so many variations of supply and demand, and nobody's teaching the real supply and demand, because I can tell it, because I'm using supply side. Because why can I tell that I'm using the real supply and demand? Because I'm trading supply and demand since 14 years, since day one. This was the first strategy I was introduced, and it stick to me. And this supply and demand, now after the supply and demand that I see now, are all like small variations, but this is not always the full picture. Anyway, my point is that when it comes to technicals, I also realized that once you have a good fundamental bias, and the fundamental bias is right, then it really doesn't necessarily matter what kind of technicals you use.
Yes.
Because if you're biased bearish and you want to short, you can use a couple of different strategies, technically driven, whether it's even like just reversal candles and you wait for this shooting star and then you short below the shooting star, or kind of anything you do, or use just a trend line and then short below the trend line. Could all work if your bias is right. The technicals are secondary. I love supply and demand because I'm trading supply and demand since forever. But that's why, since you ask, what do you think is more important? I firmly believe that the fundamentals are more important, because that gives you the right bias. And I've seen it on the data, that if you're biased right, then again, however you get into the market, sometimes just click the market button and you just are in the market as we speak. Works as well sometimes.
And that thing is understanding the fundamentals are bias, not timing. And then the technicals are the timing.
Exactly.
Is what makes the difference.
Yes.
Because I've had people, and even myself when I started, trying to get that in my head, like, all right, but let's say commercials are heavy sellers on X.
Now you're
market.
Getting very advanced.
But this is to intrigue them to go watch the content. But it's basically when you see a reading on it and you're like, they're really bullish, but then the price doesn't do that. And then understanding the fact that it's just alerting you that it's gonna turn, or it's gonna
eventually.
Move.
It has to. It's
like
self-fulfilling prophecy. It has to.
Like we
but
talk
it doesn't
about
tell you when.
Exactly. So it's the technical that's the timing, and that's when the two things, that are the best of the two worlds combine. That's what makes the difference.
Exactly.
And that's what we're expecting. We're talking about it. It's what today is September 5th. I believe, So tomorrow, so September 5th, 2025, we're expecting possibly a short on euro, and then
not now, but
but it's coming at some point because of what fundamentals are doing. I'm saying this because you're really good at predicting,
anticipating the next
moves, and you've done that throughout last year. Bunch of outlooks you gave this year, and it's. The reason why I'm doing it is because I really want people to follow you and just learn this information. In Latin America, there's a lot of lack of information that possibly you could get in English, let's say. So now that people have access to this content, the dubbing in Spanish and all this.
But that's great, and that's why I like technology so much. Because as you said, in Latin America, people lagging this kind of deep dive knowledge and skill building education. I would say they are fed with wrong information as well. I would even go so far to say they are fed with wrong information, which is really bad, because not everybody in the world speaks English.
No.
Right? Exactly, especially in this part of the world. So that technology now lets us do the content in our language. In our case, in my case, you do content in Spanish, but also in English, but I do only predominantly content in English, that people can now watch this content like fully translated, dubbed in Spanish, and we don't, as content creators, content providers, educators, we don't have to do anything, and technology is doing it. Will make a big change, not only in the trading industry, but overall in all industries.
Totally, with this AI boom that we're having now, and it's just like, it's so amazing that I could watch a video of yours in any language, basically.
Even Japan. In Japan,
I heard you in Japanese.
Japanese, it's crazy.
It's crazy how much you're gonna reach people, because OTC is big now. Whenever I do a session, a live session, I always ask them, like, where are you guys, listening to me from? They're like, in Australia or some other countries.
It's insane where like people are
it's
from.
grown so much, but that only talks so good about what you have built throughout these years. And I'm highly proud to be part of it and having you here again, because I know the transparency behind it and everything that has been done from your side, starting from you.
Yes.
And the value that a lot of people are getting, not only from being part of OTC, from the free content that you give out.
Yes.
There's like so much achievement going on.
Yes, no, and this was also something that kind of I personally involved in when it comes to YouTube creating content and creating free content and giving out as much value as possible, because I see how much it is needed, and I also see how much people love it. And this kind of, I really have to say, this really motivates me so much. If people like appreciate the content that I put out, the effort that I do, like, and people appreciate that so much, and people saying, and you know, I'm reposting stories every day where people saying this content changed my life, especially when it comes to the supply and demand. For me, it's kind of self-explanatory, you know, it's because I know that stuff, but that this content is really changing lives, and I can say that because I'm reposting stories every single day, how people are saying this is changing their life. This is something that continuously drives me, because it's so fun and so nice to see how, you know, you can make an impact.
Yes,
right.
It is, and
a
you
positive
are
impact, right?
Yeah, you're making it very, very positive. What are the plans for OTC in the near future? What would you say?
Plans. Well, we just want to continue doing what we are doing in a very, you know, obviously transparent, ethical way. The way we are doing, we want to obviously be the needle in the I like to say the needle in the haystack, to be the front runner of trading education, but not only education, but the whole kind of ecosystem that we are created and that we are building and that we continue to build. And who knows, like, whatever happens. But I just want to continue to grind and build. And I like building, you know, I like building this kind of business from this, like, seeing, like, from where we are coming from like literally from trading and teaching from home, you know, to like having now our own trading floor. It's a long and satisfying ride, but definitely there's no stagnation. It has to stop here. So let's see. But continue to grind and continue to provide, because it's just fun.
And it's basically evolving throughout time.
Exactly.
Now the tools, like, I'm a big fan of TradingView now, and now that you have tools in TradingView, and it's just easier for the majority, I guess, because they're used to that. Right?
Yes, it's we try to make it. As you said, also as we discussed, you know, we try to make it digestible for the mainstream, not for the hardcore. I'm very old school, and you know, I'm using my tools that I used to use, you know, 14 years ago. So for me, they work. I don't want to change, like, for me personally, but I know that the time is different now, and the mainstream is like, people are used to different tools and different platforms. So we're trying to provide for these people who are used to stuff that they're using these days.
It's amazing. And there's a lot more to come.
Yes, 100%.
I know you're doing a world tour again. You're traveling to another country and doing more podcasts. So.
New Zealand next, and then US, and there's maybe something in South Africa, and God knows where else. But I'm enjoying, you know, engaging with people, like, not only virtual, online, but really on a personal level. I mean, that's what it is about, right?
Yes, it is. It is. Well, I do want to thank you for this space and for having.
Thank you for inviting. Right?
Yeah, the opportunity.
Hospitality so far, top notch. Right?
Amazing. And I really hope you enjoy.
Thank you.
The rest of your days here in Colombia, and, you know, with the community, the people. We really, really appreciate you.
They're very welcoming, so I'm really feeling welcome here. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Give us your social media so that they could.
Well, it's most probably, it's hard to spell, but it's Bernd Skorupinski. I mean, you most probably find the links below the video as well, in the description. And just give us a follow, subscribe, and consume our life-changing content.
Yeah, it is. It's totally free on YouTube. Exactly. Go ahead and watch it. Follow my mentor, Bernd. You're going to have a lot of value, and I highly appreciate you guys staying in this episode. So don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.